you doing?
Yo.
Welcome back to Leather Helmet Fandom Sports Podcast. Today you'll be joined by myself, Caleb Konzelman, and as always,
Josh Konzelman.
We're gonna jump into last week. We did mock draft for best ball.
Not a mock.
Oh yeah, it was a live one. Yeah,
Live
you're right.
Best ball.
Live best ball one. And now we're gonna be going over top 10 wide receivers. Obviously, most of you guys have probably the same exact people, but it's more about when it comes to the first round, who are you picking when you get your spot? Obviously, if you're first overall, there's a couple. And if you're fifth, there's a couple there. So your placement is going to matter more with the first top 10 running backs and wide receivers. But
wait,
we're just going to put our views on each one. What's that?
I'm confused.
What's up?
What are we doing? Are we doing top
10 wide receivers? What'd I say?
Oh, okay.
No, I was just saying
I thought
that.
you were saying, like, for a second, like, oh, we're going over our top 10 ADP. I'm like, oh.
No, we're going over our top 10 wide receivers.
Right.
But I was just saying that when it comes to your draft, it's going to depend where you are drafting that you're really going to get who you're going to get. You're not going to be able to just pick who you want.
Yeah.
But we're just going to go off based off of
I feel like people overthink that, though. Like,
put it the first two rounds are
like,
crucial.
It's crucial to not bust.
Right.
More than anything.
Yeah.
So picking someone is super safe. You might not get the best league-winning Cooper Kupp 2021, but if you super safe, you'll feel good and you'll still be able to build off of that. So, like,
I would say it's about not hitting the injury person. That's pretty much about it. And knowing your league on who you can give back to.
You could say that Jonathan Taylor really didn't get. I mean, he was injured, but not crazy injured.
All right.
He was a bust.
Well, let's jump right into the news. We'll go first there, and then we'll jump into our top 10 wide receivers. Now, this is based off of who we think is going to finish as the top 10, not who we're drafting as the top 10. But obviously, that's how you're going to draft, I would hope, right?
Yeah. I mean, I only swap
obviously
back
it's
and
not
forth.
Going to happen, but
usually not my top guys. I don't swap too much unless something crazy happens to a QB or something preseason.
All right, so to jump into the news, the day after we recorded last week, we have pass rusher Alex Highsmith is agreed to a 4-year, $68 million extension.
So you don't want to bring up news that's relevant to fantasy?
No, we're going to. I just didn't know about that stuff. This is just stuff that I just seen on the fly.
Okay.
And it has to do with Steelers, so I'm going to talk about it. This is the opposite side of TJ Watt. And he had 14 and a half sacks last year, so I think this is a great signing. It's just more of a shout-out than anything.
Who did he play for?
Who did he play for? Steelers, I just said.
Oh, so who signed him? I don't understand.
Steelers. They just signed an extension.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Extension, and then the next one we got is Nyheim Hines suffered a significant knee injury.
Did you hear how he did it?
No.
He got ran into while he was on a jet ski.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that. He was still too.
Gosh.
He was still too. I think that's pretty crazy. Anyway, luckily he didn't die or have any life-threatening injuries, and it's just more surgery that will take him out for the entire year of 2023. So we'll talk about that later.
It's all field.
Maybe. I don't know.
Probably not much.
Yeah. And then the next news we got is last time we talked, Barkley did not sign or come to a long term, and now he's finally signed for one deal, $11 million, when his what's it called contract. His tag was only like 10.5 or 10.2 or something like that. So it's basically the same exact thing. He's just trying to get out of New York, basically.
Well, he gets because of it, he gets a guaranteed bigger franchise tag next year if he gets tagged.
I think he's just he can get tagged again next year too?
Yeah.
He messed up. I would have just took the tag.
I mean, that's what I read somewhere, but pretty much if he can get tagged again, it boosts his tag to like 14 or 15 million next year if they want to tag him.
Interesting. All right. Well, I think that's where he'd rather be this year than next year, but it is what it is. Next up, we got Cowboys cornerback Trayvon Diggs getting 5-year contract extension, $97 million. So shout out to him. He's one of the highest paid cornerbacks now. And it can go all the way up to $104 million. He is overrated, but it is what it is. He has a lot of picks. I think he should be a safety more than a corner, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then we got the biggest news. Justin Herbert signs a 5-year, $262 million contract with $218 million guaranteed. Pretty crazy if you have to ask me. I mean, $100 million in the first year too, so you're automatically getting half of it in year one. Obviously, it helps them going forward with.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the highest contract, but good guarantee.
Great guarantee.
Smart move by him.
And then the last thing is what Josh brought up.
There's
want to bring
there's
up?
actually a bunch, but
Okay, you can bring
I'll
them up.
skim through it. So Kadarius Toney had a knee injury pretty much first day of minicamp. Got surgery the following morning, just like a arthroscopic cleanup of the knee. But I mean, anybody knows Kadarius. He's going to be hurt. He's been hurt every single year, every single day. So it's one of those like, oh man, I would love to see this guy's talent eventually. Just give me like 5 weeks, and I can feel good about myself.
The real question is who do we steer off to if Tony is
honestly
hurt?
Nobody. I mean, like, he's the only one that I think has the talent. Like, sure, someone might show up like rookie Rashee Rice or like a older guy who is starting to show himself.
Who's still
like
on their team? Hardman? Is Hardman still there?
So they got Sky Moore. They got
that guy's a good
MBS.
They still have MBS?
Yeah, they still have MBS. They have this guy Justin Watson. I don't know, 2-3 year guy. They got Richie James from the Giants, who's kind of like a late bloomer. Like, he's doing like a Robert Woods kind of. Like, he's like 28. He's been in the league for 7 years, but when I tell you the man played like his first 6 years, like 10 snaps.
Yeah. So he's nothing to.
But he played really well, and they picked him up for a reason. It's one of those, like, there's little bits of talent, but like it's not going to matter when you have all the Kelsey, McKinnon.
Right. So it's more or less that this injury is really just like, hey, Kelsey's even more of a bigger buy.
I wouldn't.
I would.
I don't think it changes him really. I just think it just solidifies the point that it doesn't matter who the heck you're going to take for a KC wide receiver. Just don't take them early.
Right, but I just mean like
Darius.
who you can draft out of KC. Like Kelsey's kind of like the one. Like that's
I think if anything, it might help McKinnon a tad. If you're, I mean, like, I'm a believer in McKinnon. It's more so just how bad Clyde is going to perform and how bad Pacheco is going to take to recover. Because if both of them, he sucks and he takes a while to recover. McKinnon could get a lot in the passing game and a decent amount in the rushing game.
All right. Well, what's the other ones you got? Since I went to 10?
I was just because you were talking about the contracts. I saw it's really stupid, but 5-year, $50 million for freaking Cole Kmet, the Bears tight end.
Oh wow!
I'm like, I mean, granted,
he
like,
didn't even do anything last year.
But the tight end's a position that I get it. Like, there's other stuff involved, blocking and whatnot. So he could be valuable outside of fantasy. It's just fantasy people see that and they're like, what the hell is going on? He's one of the highest paid tight ends. He just got paid more than Saquon.
Yeah. I also saw something on my way over here. It was about Aaron Rodgers took a pay cut for 2 years, and I think it's like all guaranteed or something like that. So that way,
I believe it.
him, so,
but the one thing that's actually pretty big for defense, Sauce Gardner, the ex-Eagles cornerback.
He got signed?
No, he got hurt. He's out for the year.
Oh wow!
He went to the Lions, so
Good
they
thing
just
Eagles
lost
dropped
a
him.
lot on. Yeah, I know, right? They just lost a lot on their hoping to have some kind of defense. So I don't know. Their defense might be struggling again this year. So points up in Liontown, Detroit.
All right, well, let's get right into top 10 wide receivers of the 2023 NFL Draft. I believe we're going on to the first week of, like, the first full week of camp. And then we have, what's it called? Pregame starting in the second week of August, I believe. So everything is approaching fast. We got 6 more weeks till the kickoff. So let's get right into it and get these rankings out, and then we will start up our drafts. If you are listening to this right now, we usually have only one home league. We are now expanding to a second league made up of 3 teams. So if you want to join that, or you know someone that wants to join that, hit us up. between me or Josh or on the Leather Helmet social media. And you can join in. I think it's $100 buy-in, 3 teams, and then the
Top
payouts are on
prize,
there. So.
1,800.
But let's get right into it. My first and your first, we're going to say on the count of 3.
Like you already saw mine.
And then I did not. And then we'll see what the difference is. 1, 2, 3. Justin
Chase.
Jefferson.
Oh, well, big surprise.
I knew
Gotta
yours
be
was
one
going
of
to be
them, too.
Chase.
I mean, it's got to be one of them.
I mean, let's talk about it real fast. Like you're saying, it's got to be one of those 2. If you're first up on the draft pick, you're for sure picking Chase over Jefferson, correct?
Correct.
All right, and I'm for sure picking Jefferson. And the only reason I asked that is because I was debating for this. These 2 took me the longest. Obviously, if you're second, then you just wait for whoever picks the first, unless they pick CMC, which it could happen. But I had a real tough one between ranking 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to rank them, but like a lot of people that are in the industry when it comes to like fantasy taking it serious is like they always tier them up anyways. So
who do you have as your second?
Jefferson.
Okay, I have Chase as my second.
Yeah,
so we'll go.
That's
we'll
what
go.
I mean. Like a lot of people in the industry have tiers. So like they'll
Right.
tier 1, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and that's just saying they're super similar to the point they don't really care as much who they pick in that tier, just whoever they like the most and fits their team the best. So like as soon as you drop to that second tier, it's a big drop. Like people,
right?
To me, like after Justin and Chase, it's like
there's a difference.
I'm not drafting the next wide receiver. Like personally, I'm not excited if I'm the 3rd pick in the draft to take a wide receiver because it's such a big drop to me.
Right. Which is why I like the 3rd or 4th, and anything out of that I really don't like. But we'll talk about that later. All right. Well, let's do it since I got Chase as my second. You have Chase as your first, and then vice versa for Justin Jefferson. Let's talk. I do pros for Jefferson. You do pros for Chase. So go ahead and take.
How about you do pros Jefferson?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
And then I'll do cons Jefferson.
Okay.
I don't have a lot, but
yeah. All right. Well, you take it off with Chase first. The pros.
So pros. So we'll just bring you back to 2022. So his average targets per game were 11.2. And he was averaging 20 PPR points, that is, per game. He did drop a lot last year in his average depth of target and catch.
You want to pull him up, actually, while you're doing this?
Yeah, that's fine. Chase.
Why is he not at this is last year, that's why.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4,
He came in 11th last year.
8, 9, 10. Wow. Or is it 10?
He's 11.
So Jamar Chase. So obviously he had a little bit of injury plague for this year, but on top of that, he just wasn't having the best year even before the injury. His rookie year, everybody knows him for that. So he was getting 18 yards per catch in his rookie year, and this following year that just passed, he was only doing 12 yards per target. So I expect that to jump closer to a median, like between 12 and 18, so like a 14 yards. So right there alone, you're expecting another 2 points per game, just extra on average. So that bumps him up to 22 points per game, which would already take him over what Jefferson did last year in his crazy year. And then touchdowns also dropped from his rookie year. He had 13 his rookie year, and he dropped down to 9. So again, I expect it to get more towards the double digits. Touchdowns are not super sticky, so let's say 11 on the low end for him, because I think he's an explosive player that can really bust out a long one if he's healthy, and he hasn't been healthy for a while. So more explosive plays with full health. So I think his yards after catch, his yards per catch go up, and he just gets those maneuvers to the touchdown. So I'm predicting 1,700 yards, 127 receptions, and
1,700 yards, dude.
Yeah, 127.
Gosh,
he was on pace for pretty much the same thing.
I mean, I get it. I'm just saying that's a lot.
So like, he averaged 11.2 targets last year per game. So if he plays all 17 games, you're talking 180 targets.
See, this is
108 targets. So he only has to catch 67%. That's not too bad. But anyways, 10 touchdowns. He'll end with 357 PPR points, which was honestly just short of Jefferson's last year, but I feel like comparing anybody to Jefferson's last year is like not super realistic because I don't even think Jefferson's going to repeat that. Last year was insane. So, I mean, again, they're close, but I just like that Chase showed even when he isn't in full health, he still produced. And since he did produce less, it's a good sign that, like, okay, maybe he really can go back to his rookie year, but with just more volume. And then he gets all those targets in the second year, but better production efficiency like his rookie year. So I think it's just evening them two out. And, I mean, everybody knows this Joe Burrow's favorite target, just for, like, the chemistry on the field. Not saying that T. Higgins is any worse. They just don't have as good a chemistry.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's literally he has a 31%. What's it called? Target rate.
Share.
Yeah, target share. So it's literally, that's who he's looking for. That's who he's coming up to pass it to. It's either him, and even if he looks at his second one, the second one's open, he still might even go back.
And I feel like he's more of a yak guy than Jefferson. Like, just watching him on film, it seems like he's a little more explosive when he gets a ball in his hands versus Jefferson's. I
don't think I watched enough Jefferson to compare that. I definitely know what you're talking about by Chase, but I don't think
Jefferson
I've watched
just
enough Jefferson.
like is more like a Hopkins. Like, he just messes with people like either midair or just like burns them as wide open.
Yeah.
But I like Bengals even just as a team better. I think they're going to pass more. I think they're going to have a better record. So hopefully they'll score more. I mean, that might mean they pass a little less, but I think overall they're just a better team. I'd rather be on the better team.
Yeah, quick thing to note about Jefferson or Chase last year. You could see that he got hurt, which is right on the screen. But you also have to understand that all Bengals players and Bills did not play Week 17 either, so that impacts their rankings.
Oh, yeah.
They don't take that out; they leave that in. So you're basically just getting a 0.
Yeah.
Whilst technically saying you played a game.
I was going by like per game for most of them.
Right, which is a big thing when it comes to next year. I mean, you give 5 more games to Jefferson. That's like, I mean, you take 5 games away from Jefferson, he's going to go way below 11th, I would say. Even if you just take out his worst.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on really the games he got hurt.
Yeah.
Because, like, he's more of a... Well, Cousins is more of a I play better versus weaker defenses.
But my cons, I really don't have much. Like I said, it was very hard between him and Jefferson. My biggest cons is that he can't really just have an okay game.
You know what?
Because
are either of them on a contract year? T. Higgins just got a contract, right?
I don't
think
remember.
He got like a 2-year extension. Only because like I feel like
I don't think just got. If he did, it was like a year or 2 ago.
I'm like big on guys that are really talented and it's their contract year, so they're pretty much playing their heart out for that big contract.
I think he's gonna play his heart out regardless.
Oh yeah, they will. But I'm just saying, like, if T. Higgins is on his contract year, I don't think he is because I think he re-signed. But if he was on his contract year, I feel like he would outperform. Not that he's getting drafted high anyways, but he would outperform like what people would expect, and it could pull from Chase a little bit.
Right.
But I don't even think he's on a contract deal, like I said.
So my con is really just simple as he can give you games where he's just like mediocre when it comes to fantasy points, and I mean this as like week 2. This is all before he got injured. Week 2, 10 points. Week 3, 11 points. Week 4, 12 points. Week 5, 12 points. So you might sit there in the beginning of the year and be like, this is my first overall, and he's just giving me 10, 10, 10, 12, which is consistent, but that's not what you drafted your first overall.
Yeah, but I mean, like...
So that's like the only real con I could really come up with,
if your
to be truthfully honest.
If your floor is 10 to 12, and your ceiling is like the other 3 weeks out of those first 7 is 30, 35, 35. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. There's not much cons I can say other than that, which is he just might be inconsistent for a number 2 overall or a number 1 overall, because I think truthfully because of the weapons on the team. Whereas Jefferson doesn't have that. Like Jefferson it's really just him. And if you want to consider Osborne or the new rookie Jordan dude as anything, then that's pretty crazy because I wouldn't consider. I would consider Hawkinson as his biggest threat towards taking away targets.
Now.
What's that?
You're talking about Jefferson now.
Yeah. I was just saying, like, that this is Chase's, like, this is the reason I have Chase at 2, rather than 1 is because he
Okay,
could give
so
you
just
that
go over
inconsistency
Jefferson.
because of weapons. So the reason I have Jefferson at
You're saying
1,
it's more competition.
yeah, is the reason I have Jefferson at 1 is because honestly, I can't find a bad thing about him. I can't find any cons. He could literally be one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, possibly ever, fantasy wise, production wise.
You said that about Odell Beckham too.
Nah, this dude's had a way better 3 seasons
Just
than
saying.
Odell Beckham for
Got
sure.
the same height.
He was first, fourth, and sixth in full PPRs since he joined the league. His team isn't as dominant as they would be considered, like compared to Bengals. So I don't think there's gonna be any blowouts. Like I feel like Bengals could play some teams and literally get to a position where they can just start running the ball more. Obviously, that's very situational and that's very game dependent.
Yeah.
But that can happen, which means if he only has 10 points and then like, oh shoot, we're up, we don't need Chase as much. So that could come into play, especially come playoffs, where I don't think that could happen as much with Chase, with Jefferson, because Kirk isn't as good a quarterback and their offense just really isn't as high powered as Bengals. Also, another one is I believe Burrow is not a QB, mobile QB, but I believe he is a lot higher agility and mobile than Kirk is. So obviously you're going to see Chase run not much at all, but he's going to run a lot more than Kirk would. This is what I'm talking about. I'm literally like picking between little tiny differences. And his competition again, like I just spoke, why I have Chase really at second is Jordan Addison, which came from Pittsburgh and UFC or something like that. Not UFC, UCF or something like that, whatever it was that he came from. He's got an amazing agility. He can literally cut on a dime when he's in the open field. But as far as like comparison to Jefferson, he's not really anywhere in comparison to him. So it's really just like you got to get him the ball in open field and then he'll make yak off that. And I'm talking Jordan Addison. So I don't think it's really comparable with the two. So I don't think he's going to take much away from him. And then if you want to go to Osborne and say anything, honestly, Osborne was a disappointment.
All right, I don't care about Osborne too much. I mean, he was already there last year. The point is more so Addison's better than Adam Thielen. A lot better. Yes. What do you mean? Is it aging
compared to last year? Yeah. 2 years ago, no.
Okay.
As far as taking the reason Adam Thielen was in anything was because he was a TD, literally just ball hawk, and Kirk just gave it to him. That's not going to be Addison. Addison's not going to come in and take those kind of TDs.
It's going to take targets, and he should be able to take
not a lot at all.
Demand more than Adam Thielen did. And on top of that,
I don't think it's going to be as much as you think.
Hawkinson came in middle of the year, so he didn't have a whole off year to get all the game plan down.
Which was my next point. Hawkinson is really the biggest threat to him. Any other person,
Hawkinson is going to take away targets.
I don't see Jordan Addison. You could say that.
It's possible he doesn't. He's still a rookie, but and he's already driving his Lamborghini 140 miles per hour.
And this is where the part of for my Justin Jefferson that I debated taking Chase over him was this dude has not missed one game in 3 years. You're going to tell me he's never going to miss one game in 4 years? Like, he's got to get hurt. So, like, do you want to take the risk of being on his injury year, or do you want to take the risk of, like, going for 4 years in a row, which might even be, like, a record of never missing a game for 4 years? I have no clue. As a starter, number one wide receiver, it's pretty incredible, to be honest. And the last thing,
starters rookie year. I feel like he wasn't in the first half.
Yeah, he was a starter.
Pull him up
because
Jefferson.
Thielen was there. He was considered the one, but then Jefferson had crazy rookie years.
He's the only highest guy by a mile. Now go to his 2019 rookie year.
No, he literally had crazy numbers. He finished better than Adam.
Was it 2019? I feel like that sounds like forever ago.
It was 3 years.
This connection.
Wait, maybe it wasn't 3 years.
Hit 2020. See if it loads.
Yeah, 2020 was his
Yeah, so like
he got
knows
drafted during
snap.
COVID.
He's only, I guess he would count as a starter. He's more than 50% on all of them.
And they just lost what's his name, Diggs, that year. That was the year that he went to Buffalo. So that he came in as rookie. I believe he was runner up for rookie of the year.
Yeah.
So he literally has been increased every single year, and his situation has just been getting better and better and better. I think this will be his best situation possible. Josh doesn't think so, but I think it will be.
It's just more so Addison, Hawkinson, full year off. Kirk Cousins, he's a respectable QB, but he's getting older. I expect the Vikings to purposely slow down the pace of play because the Vikings are trying to avoid as many close games as possible.
Which they had a lot last year.
They had so many that they somehow got pulled out wins from. But if they're able to slow down the pace of play, it's going to let Cousins more read the defense a little better and make less mistakes because he had the third most interceptions of any QB last year. He had 14. So I think if they slow him down,
that's just because Baker didn't play full season. But anyway, go on.
That's so fourth then whatever. He still threw the third most in the whole league. So I just think they're going to purposely try to slow it down, get better reads, play smarter football. And, I mean, they have enough talent to, if they play smart, they should beat teams just with their offense alone. So I think they're going to play a lot slower. There's going to be less targets, and on top of the less total targets, some taken away. So I just think his production overall is going to slightly skim down. So, like, what do you have? Like a freaking 170 targets, 160? Maybe he loses 20, 30 targets throughout the whole year.
Let's see, he had, we go to
184.
184.
Yeah, so I think it's going to drop closer to like a 160, 165. So his receptions will drop. But it just take him out of that like extreme top tier. Like he has finished at 384. I'm only predicting Jamar Chase at 360. So like I think he's going to be right behind him at like 340, 350. I just don't think he's going to make that extra jump because he's not going to have as much to work with.
To be honest, I would take. I don't know how you feel about this since we're on this tier of like we were talking about Jefferson Chase.
Oh, just a heads up, he averaged less targets per game than Jamar Chase, 10.8.
Right.
It's just Chase's level.
We all know Chase's target share percentage is literally through the roof. I don't think anyone is better than that besides maybe
That's 200
Adams.
targets.
Adams might have.
Year.
No, Cup has more definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
but anyway, since we're at that tier, would you rather take CMC after Jefferson and Chase, or would you take him in the middle of?
you'll have to wait and see.
Okay. Well,
But no,
I'm going to say
I'm not big on CMC.
I'd rather be second because I'd rather have that person in front of me make the decision between Jefferson and Chase, and I'll just take whoever they don't pick.
Yeah, because then you get a possibly better pick in the next round.
Yeah, that too.
And I hate being on the turn for the most part, back to back.
It's not. I liked it to
awful.
go 3 years ago, but that was it.
Yeah, it all depends.
All right. Well, that
right.
comes our first and our second. We just have them
let's move
flip flop.
on,
Let's move on to our third. Still got 7 more to get through. My third is Tyreek Hill.
All right, so this is where it starts getting a little crazy for me, but obviously this is a tier down, but my third is Chris Olave from the Saints.
Wow, I want to hear yours first, actually.
All right,
Olave.
so
I haven't met him at 10, so.
So Chris Olave, if anybody doesn't know him, he was a rookie last year. The only person that probably outplayed him as a rookie might have been Garrett Wilson, just by a tad. But his QBs for the year were Jameis Winston, and then almost all Andy Dalton for the rest of the season.
And even worse.
So with these two QBs, Jameis Winston's at least gives fantasy production because he likes to chuck it for the most part.
But that's not how Saints roll.
Yeah, he was really conservative on the Saints
That's
since he
not how
got
Saints
there.
roll. That's a Bucks thing.
All right, let's just talk about it. So first 3 games with Jameis Winston, he averaged 90 yards per game, receiving yards that is, and that was only less than 60% catch rate. So he was a 58% catch rate. So probably wasn't getting the best balls thrown to him, but he still almost got 100 yards on average over 3 games with Jameis Winston. And then he got Andy Dalton. So the rest of the year, Andy Dalton, his whole year, he only averaged 205 passing yards per game. So my man barely threw 200 yards a game for the whole rest of the year. So if if Chris Olave was going to keep up his pace that he had with Jameis Winston the first 3 games, he literally would have had to get 50% of the target share. Like, that's insane. He's not going to get 50%. That's not even realistic. Like, there would be no NFL team. But the point is, Andy Dalton just trashed his rookie year that he could have set records on almost on a team that's not even known for passing that much. But with all that said, he gets a way better improvement. I know I said that last year. I was trying to hype up Baker Mayfield. I was a little too high on DJ Moore, but this is different because Derek Carr is actually a decent, respectable QB.
No
I mean,
doubt.
he's been with wide receivers like Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams. I think there might even be like one more. I mean,
They all finished in the top 10.
Finished really high, and he was able to put up really good production with a receiver, whether it's a tight end or a wide receiver. But just some Derek Carr numbers to compare to Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton. So Derek Carr, 61% completion rate, not so much higher, but a little bit improvement compared to Jameis Winston. He threw 160 targets to Devontae Adams in just 15 games. So obviously everyone knows he likes having a favorite target, and he's going to rely on that person if they show him he should rely on him because he's making him look good. With that said, just to back it up, I already said Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper averaged over 8 targets per game. So just think of it like this. Like Chris Olave is getting 8+ targets a game, possibly more. It depends how much the chemistry bangs off right away. In his last 5 years, Derek Carr has averaged over 4,000 passing yards. So for the most part, he's usually at that 4,000. Not crazy high, but I think it's enough for a guy that gets 30% of the target share. Because he doesn't really have much competition. Like after Chris Olave is a Michael Thomas that's
Especially
coming
if
out of the
Alvin
grave.
Kamara gets suspended.
Alvin Kamara is definitely getting some kind of partial suspension. Like there's really not much fighting against him.
Do you think Michael Thomas will be? Let's start with this. Do you think Michael Thomas will play this year at all?
Oh yeah, he'll definitely play.
Okay.
He'll
So
probably play.
Do you think he'll play
a
a shell of himself, or
I mean, it's hard to say because he looked surprisingly good
in the beginning?
of the year, but it's just how much longer can this dude keep getting hurt and put up decent numbers? And I feel like is not going to care as much because his career is pretty much about to be over, and 2,
and he got the bag already. So
yeah, he got the bag. He doesn't care. He knows he's not going to win a Super Bowl with this team.
No.
So it's just a mix of not caring because he already set records and he's not going to set anything, at least on this team right now, as far as winning anything. And then on top of that, he's old. He's going to get hurt again. It's just a matter of when.
Would you think that having
And he
Michael Thomas
cries.
helps?
I feel like the team doesn't even like him. He literally is
Would you say
argued with
Michael
coaches.
Thomas helps Chris Olave if he's just on the field, or do you think he hurts him? I think he helps him.
I think he helps to an extent. I mean, the only thing is I still think Michael Thomas will somehow cry about his targets. The team's not going to care, but I still really think he's going to complain if he doesn't get past 2 in a big game if they somehow make the playoffs.
Yeah, but I think Derek Carr's a vet enough to be suck it. It's not where it's like Murray, where Hopkins was complaining. He's like, fine, dude, I will give you it.
Yeah.
I'm a little
I don't
girl.
know. Regardless, I think Chris Olave is amazing talent, so it's not going to matter, and he's young. It'd be different if I thought Chris Olave wasn't that good,
Right.
because I'd be maybe he'll just not show off as much because
I don't think his yards are going to be up there as far as the 4th. If you compare who falls at the 4th, I don't think his yards, but his receptions and his TDs will be there, I think.
So I actually have his TDs pretty low, but my biggest comparison to him is what happened to Cooper Kupp when Cooper Kupp got Stafford. I always saw Cooper Kupp's talent.
I think Stafford's way better than Carter.
I thought he was way better than Robert Woods, but he always had Jared Goff, who couldn't throw the ball deep for the life of him. So now that he gets somebody who likes to actually surprisingly throw a deep ball pretty often, Derek Carr, I think it's going to give him enough work, and he's in one of the worst divisions ever with the Falcons and the Panthers in them. It's just going to be easy pickings for him, that he's just going to blow up. This is his year where the following year he's the top 5 wide receiver drafted. I mean, people are calling that. It's just no one has the balls to really put them in their top 5.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does besides you, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like the good thing about it is like you can kind of sit on them, which if I can sit on him and get him, in my eyes, he really is the next best of the next tier down. But
where would you if he's your 4th wide receiver? Obviously, you don't want to give away too much because some of the people that we draft will be listening.
3rd wide receiver.
Your 3rd. Where would you be drafting him? Anywhere past 5 or before 5? Let's just say that.
I don't think
5 and lower or 6 and higher.
I think it'd be 6 and higher.
Okay.
Only because there's some running backs that are like top tier. I think.
Okay.
After Justin Jefferson and Chase, that it wouldn't make sense because even there's always a chance he even comes back the 2nd round.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
playing your league like we talked about earlier.
Yeah. But yeah, 1,500 plus yards, 100 plus receptions, 7 plus TDs, just over 300 PPR points. I like him. He's going to do it this year.
All right, that's a bold prediction for sure. That's I would say the best thing about him is he has a high floor and he's very safe. I can't see him busting.
Yeah, I mean, like worst, I would say is the 10th to 12th. Yeah, 12th. I could even go with.
I would say 12th
if you miss some games.
All right, well, my 3rd is Tyreek Hill, like I stated. I mean, it's plain simple. He's on the Dolphins with Tua back.
He ended last year. I know it was hot.
Tua ended.
No, not Tua.
Oh. I shit myself.
4th.
Tyreek has placed 2nd last year.
Oh, bro.
It's got a spin on. Yeah. You're not straight with it, though. You might have to take your mic out. Yeah, you're going to have to take your mic out. Unplug this part. Anyway, no, unplug this part. Now do it. All right, so anyway, while Josh is doing that, the Tyreek Hill, he placed 2nd, 6th, and 3rd the past 3 seasons. So this dude has not gone out of the top 6. Even this 6th year was his first year with the Dolphins or last year with Chiefs. I forget what it is. But his team is great and phenomenal as far as offense goes and defense. So I could see them blow a lot of teams out, to be honest, which will fall in garbage time. Not garbage time.
Testing.
Bad time for him, whatever it is, because they'll be running the ball a lot more. But they're going to be playing very, very, very good offensive teams this year if you look at their schedule. And they'll have to throw a lot more, meaning there's going to be a lot of shootouts or high-scoring games. So I see them throwing the ball.
We all know where the question comes down to is Tua playing?
Yes, that's definitely a big factor, but I've decided this year with rankings to not take injury as much as a concern as I did the years prior. So that's why I have Tyreek Hill up here as well, because obviously Tua has a lot to do with this. But the good thing is he actually performed well with Tua not playing as well.
Yeah, way better than Waddle.
Yeah. Waddle dropped off significantly, which I think is why he's out of my top 10 and most people's top 10 is because Tua, without Tua, he wasn't really much at all. He has amazing score opportunities. He averaged about 10 targets per game, and he just needs, I would say, 2 more touchdowns to get to like 10, and he should be like a top 3 wide receiver. If he gets 2 more touchdowns, I think he's going to be easily top 3 with how much target shares he gets and just how amazing he is with creating separation, obviously because of his speed, but just knowing the route runs, the route tree, probably the entire route tree for Miami at this point now, and just so much years of experience. So I got to give it to him, and we'll move on to our 4th. These 2 are extremely close to me, or close.
What, 3 and
not
4?
to me, but yeah, 3 and 4 are close for me. My 4th is Cooper Kupp. So I was debating between those 2, but I took Tyreek Hill mainly because what's his name has a spinal contusion last year.
Yeah,
Stafford.
Yep.
And then Kupp got hurt last year, so it really came down to injuries. And if anyone knows or doesn't know, spinal contusions affect your overall strength a lot. So this dude is not going to be able to just sling it like he used to. We all know Stafford's injury history is horrible. He's gotten like everything destroyed. So you add this to it, something's going to take a takedown.
If
Simple as
Stafford's
that.
gone, where do you rank Cup?
Oh, that's tough.
Is he out of the top 12?
If Stafford's gone for the entire season or
Pretty much, like first two.
entire season out of top 10. That's
Okay.
as far as I'm going to go with it. I wouldn't
That's
go
kind
far.
of why I don't have him ranked so high, just like what you've been.
But
listing
that's
off.
why I said like I would say injuries I've took off a lot. But that's why he's past Tyreek Hill for me. He would have been in front of Tyreek Hill if it wasn't for Stafford's injury. But who's your fourth?
So fourth, I have the other sophomore, big hype boy, Garrett Wilson.
Wow, I thought mine was going
New
to
York
be
Jets.
higher than yours.
So I see him.
Huge step this year. Huge step.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally almost identical to Chris Olave. The only reason I like him less than Chris Olave is because of Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people see Aaron Rodgers as a Hall of Famer, and he will be. I just think he's already hit his climax. He's coming down.
Who's coming down?
Aaron Rodgers. Is your mic on? Or are you just not in it? Yeah. But Aaron Rodgers, I think, one, he wanted to do as much because the Jets defense is way better.
Right.
So they'll probably run the ball more than he's used to for the most part.
Which is why I like.
But his last year, I mean, people will say, oh, it's his weapons, but he didn't look as good on film. It was his lowest passer QBR rating ever since his rookie year.
He definitely took a dip for sure last year.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to go up much. I think it's still just steadily going down slowly.
But this will
he could
revive
still
his
win.
name.
Yeah, like he could even win the Super Bowl for all I know. But that's like who just won it? Peyton Manning when he wanted the Broncos.
Yeah.
Like it was trash, like straight trash.
But his defense was phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not. I don't think he's that far gone, but I still think he's not as suitable for like an up and coming big receiver that needs a lot of targets to land in these top four. Well, I think he can land in the top four, but just not as high as Chris Olave.
Right.
So like, just going back to Aaron Rodgers, lowest QBR last year. He had his most interceptions since his first full like starting year back in 2008. He only threw for 26 touchdowns last year, and his deep ball was the 26th worst of the whole league. So he only completed just over 30% of all his deep balls. So with all that to say, I think it's just going to limit how much Garrett Wilson's touchdowns he can get, how much targets he's going to get, mainly because of the team and just Rodgers slowly aging out. I just don't think he's as good. So with all that to say, Garrett Wilson's probably one of the best prospects behind Justin Jefferson. I'd put him, honestly, talent-wise, probably above Chris Olave.
I would too.
But
I mean, you got rookie of the year, so offensive rookie of the year.
yeah, he just is a really good prospect and should be hungry to get his big contract. So even if Rodgers isn't as good, he's going to keep asking for the ball, and he's probably going to get it. I mean, look how much he got in his rookie year. It was like
86 receptions.
120-some targets. So if that goes up to 140, 150, he should easily hit 100 receptions.
Especially with a better QB. It all comes down to his QB, dude. His QB.
Yeah, I mean, his
play
QB
was
is way better, but
horrible.
I feel like it's one of those things like he's going to do better than last year.
No doubt.
But like, what did he end last year?
He ended 14th.
14th.
Wait,
yeah,
no, that's for that. He ended.
Actually, it's pretty high. Is this it?
It's not pretty high, actually. He finished 20th.
Okay, so
Your mic's not near it.
sorry. Yeah, so he finished 20th. So like, in my eyes, he can only go up from there. But there's a chance he lands at like 12th,
Right.
10 to 12. But I still like him as a talent more than anybody. So I'm going to take his high upside that this man could finish number one overall if all the cards land right and don't land right for Jefferson or Chase.
I think his biggest thing, I'm just going to go ahead and say I got him at 9th since we're talking about him. And that way we don't have to double talk about him when I come down to it. I think his biggest thing is literally going to be his touchdowns. The dude got 4 touchdowns in the year. And you're going to tell me he doesn't at least get 2 to 3 more touchdowns with Rodgers? Like, it's going to happen. He's
but that's only
he's going to give him the ball.
20 more points.
That's fine. It's 20 more points. Literally, the people that have 4 touchdowns are like
all right. So
Michael Pittman, Chris Olave, Drake London, Mike Williams,
right,
Kurt Samuels, George Pickens.
Look at last year. So you said he ended what 20th?
Yeah.
So he was where the hell was he at? Why is this not going? Go by points. All right. So let's just do some quick math.
Like all the people in front of him have like 6+.
Where is he? I don't see him. Chris Olave. No, he had to be above Olave, right?
Look, Amon St. Brown, 6 receiving touchdowns, and he's 7th. So
scroll down to him. All right, so he had 220 points. So let's give him 30 more points. Let's be nice. So
250. That puts him up to 10.
So 250 puts him at 10. So, yeah, pretty much like what I said. He's can land as low as 10 or 12, but realistically, he should land in the top 8. I see he can go all the way.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's at least going to get 3 more touchdowns. At least. I think he can get a lot more, to be honest.
Okay, so
that's why I have him at 9, but I just have a lot more.
250 to 300 some points, low 300s.
Low 300s would put you at hit, like 7th.
I don't think he could hit like the 350 mark like some of Chase and Jefferson, which is why they're a different tier. No. But I think he's right at that 300 mark in a good year.
Right.
So I like him a lot.
All right. Well, you got him at 4. I got him at 9. I'm going to talk about Cooper Kupp. You can tell me if you got him in your top 10. First, I got him at 4th. I mean, he's literally the most efficient, consistent wide receiver, maybe even player in the league. Plain and simple.
Smartest,
almost everything. Route tree running, everything amazing. Like he creates separation like insane. He's got the hands. The only thing I would say is downgrade is like going up and get the ball on like 50-50s. That's like maybe his weakness, I would say. But when you have route run skills like him, you don't need that. The problem is I think this team is nothing compared to his 2020 season. Obviously, not 2021 season.
About the defense or just
in general, just overall in general.
Yeah.
It doesn't compare to when he had the triple king motherfudger. And last year he started off phenomenal again, but like I said, him and Stafford basically took injuries right at the same time, and they're pretty significant injuries. His was a high ankle sprain, so it's going to hinder him this year as well. Obviously, he's going to be healthy, but it's still not even a year off from it, so it's going to hinder him somewhat, not as much as it's going to hinder Stafford, but it is there, and it's part of one of the stats, so I just got to take him at 4 instead of 3. I mean, Stafford is also 35 years old, which is extremely old for quarterbacks. Yeah, I think he's pretty much done.
He got his ring.
And I think Kupp is extremely touchdown dependent this year, at least. So if he doesn't get his touchdowns,
as long as he has Stafford, he'll get enough receptions.
I get that, but you're not going to get him where he's getting ADP'd right now. He's getting ADP'd at like 4th.
Oh yeah, that's because people are dumb.
Right.
They got him ranked top 5.
But like I have him there strictly because of what he can do if Stafford's healthy. Yeah. As simple as that.
It's all about risk, like avoiding risk. And
high risk, it's an extreme high upside though.
So risky, but I think his highest upside is 3.
Would you say he has, if not the first, the second highest upside in the league, if everything stays healthy?
Yeah. But that's the thing is like saying that if is like everything points the opposite direction. Like it's more likely that
it won't be healthy.
Like I put it at like 60-70%.
Right.
Stafford's not playing the whole year, and he has a worse O line, so he's gonna have to deal with getting hit more. Like it's just not. It's like going right back to Detroit. My man was hurt all the time, and he played through it, and he got his ring. Like that's all that matters.
Somehow he got the numbers he got last year. With all of that being said, and obviously it was a healthy-ish. I know he had his injuries in the beginning of the season before the season started, but he got crazy numbers in the beginning of the season before he got hurt as well. And he has no competition still.
Oh yeah,
like, it's as simple as that. So
Jefferson after that's trash.
If Stafford can play all year, even if he's not 100%, that's why I have him at 4 here because his upside is crazy. Now,
so you have him ranked there, but are you ever going to take him?
It's debatable.
Like, are you taking the first round?
Depending what running backs are there. And if Kelsey's there.
You take him.
Let's say this, I'll take Kelsey before Cup.
Okay, so you're probably taking him like 8 or later.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm not taking him. People are taking him like 4, 5, 6.
Oh, yeah. He's going before I grab him.
Yeah. I'm taking Kelsey over him. I just think Kelsey's way more needed. And then we're going to branch off into where do you have him at actually?
I'll tell you where I got. So I'll just flip flop. So I have Tyreek and Cooper Kupp back to back. So I have Tyreek just ahead like you do, but I have them at 6 and 7. So I have a fifth guy that's squished in between my.
So you have
Chris Olave
Kupp.
3.
You have Cup at 6, you said?
No, I have Tyreek at 6
6
and Cooper Kupp at 7.
Okay, so you just moved them back 2 places from me.
3 places.
Okay.
Each.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to our fifth then. My fifth is Stephon Diggs.
Oh, look, we're on the same page.
You are? All right, sweet.
Stephon Diggs.
I was debating. Who were you debating him with? I guess Hill.
I wasn't really debating at all. I like him a lot.
You like him over Hill for sure?
I think he's probably the safest bet of anybody on this whole list.
I would say my wide receivers are getting broken down by 2 people each time, and I keep debating on who to pick between the 2. Like Hill and Cup, I'm debating, and the only reason I would steer away from Cup is strictly because of the injuries, like we talked about. But mine goes like 1 and 2 interchangeable, 3 and 4 interchangeable, 5 and 6 interchangeable. And with that, I'm going to say, since you already said your 6, my 5th is Stephon Diggs, my 6 is Devontae Adams. So I'm very back and forth with Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs. But I'll let you take over with the positives of Stephon Diggs.
I don't have much. I mean, like I said, I am 100% sure he's the safest bet between all these guys. He's already proven it year in and year out on the Bills, at least. Well, he's proven on the Vikings too, but more so as the number 1 in the Buffalo Bills. He's proven it. He's got great chemistry with Josh Allen. Josh Allen should be healthier this year because he was dealing with some kind of arm injury or shoulder injury. I can't remember. But he just had really bad numbers deep ball wise when it came to after his injury. He was actually on pace for better than Mahomes last year. So I'm really high on the Bills this year, and I'm really high on Stephon Diggs just as, like, if you want a guaranteed don't bust number 1 wide receiver, take him. I mean, he'll still probably, if one of the higher upside guys, like the guys I have ranked above him, have an amazing year, then yeah, they could pull ahead, but there's no way this dude's not putting up 300-plus fantasy points in PPR. He's getting his 100 reception. He's getting his 6+ touchdowns. Like, it's just a lock for top 12 wide receiver. There's no chance besides him himself getting injured or Josh Allen completely being out for the year. Like, 1 or 2 of those, if that doesn't happen, he's easily in there.
Right.
Like, I'm so confident in him. Like, I almost want to take him just to be, like, safe, depending on the league.
Like over like a Wilson or a Olave, you're saying? Like, it's debatable with you just because he's so consistent. You're like, I know it's going to happen.
Yeah, like if I somehow got
Wilson, you could
Stephon Diggs, and then on the way back, I got like a Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson, that might be a possibility. I mean, all depending on what running backs are left.
Right, and that's why I was stating, just so everyone's aware, we're basing this off the ranks how it's going to finish at the end of the year, not where we're going to draft them, because you have to know your league. The more you know your league, the more you know your drafters on your league, the better you're going to have drafting a good team. So it's as simple as that. Like he's saying, he has Chris Olave in front, but he might draft Stephon Diggs because he might get not get Stephon Diggs, but get Chris Olave.
Like, I'm not taking Diggs over the top tier running backs,
right?
But he's my next one that's going to go in the first round. Like, he's going to go in the first round.
So
I'm not going to get him.
Since you talked about his positives, my cons for him really are the fact that he plays the Jets twice a year and the fact that he plays Dolphins twice a year. The good part, however, is if you take a look at his numbers, Miami.
I feel like I'm not concerned with, only because of their offense should be better this year. Like, James Cook is going to take a step up. They got a better tight end. They got
that's true, but it's the defense that they're playing
Allen
against. That's why he had bad year.
Yeah, but the offense is going to give them more things to worry about. Like, that's just
So just it's on the screen, but I can't see it as much. But the games versus the Jets, right? He had 15 points and 6 points, 37 yards and 93 yards.
The 6 yard or how many?
But he got no touchdowns on either of them.
Okay.
So no touchdowns. They held him to his touchdown, no touchdowns, and he gets he got 11 touchdowns for a year, which is a lot. So they held him to his touchdowns.
Last year?
Yeah.
That's because he got 3 in one game.
Yeah. And then the yards, he got held to 37 in one game, which is crazy, especially at his home.
What was his snap percentage?
78. It's right around. It's actually on his high end.
And did he? No. And that was versus the Jets.
Yep.
They might have killed him.
Because not Garrett Wilson.
Sauce wasn't there.
Why was Sauce not there?
Because he was on the Eagles.
Not Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner was there. Yeah, not CJ. Wait, who is it? The freaking rookie or
Sauce
something.
is That's his nickname. Is Sauce.
Yeah.
I think you just mistaked earlier.
CJ. Anyway. Who the?
Who cares? Doesn't matter. But the defensive rookie of the year was literally what locked him down. It's that simple.
Well, he locked everyone down.
Exactly. And they got to play him twice this year, which I'll get into the good part about this. And then the Dolphins, they have to play twice a year, which we all know their secondary is phenomenal as well. These are the points that he got last year. All right, I would say very good.
Top 5.
And the Dolphins that he did was 14 points. Again, not up to his expectations, not high anything, just average, his safe floor. And then his other game was 10 points. So 60 yards versus that and 74 yards.
If that's his worst 4 games, that's fine for me.
Right. I'm just stating the simple cons. That's the cons I could see for him. He has played Miami and Jets. But the pros of those cons are he plays Jets week 1, so he gets it right out of the way. He starts off bad, sure, whatever. Come back out of the right. Then he plays Miami at Miami week 18, which is past the playoffs.
So you have for him
one in the beginning.
No, don't do that. It's a dumb plan.
You would want to trade for him. Yeah,
trade for him after week.
Yeah, and someone's gonna do that. But and then you have at Miami week 18, which means literally it doesn't matter to fantasy. So you're taking 2 of them out from the beginning. It's everyone can start off bad and still have a good year, and then you're getting rid of one of the great defenses they used to play against in week 18. Another good part, the con that you didn't say is he plays in the playoffs. I know you don't pay attention much to this, but I do. Dallas, which their secondary is not phenomenal. You just talked about Diggs is overrated. I think Diggs is overrated as well. He can get mad yards versus them. In fact, did he play them last year? He did not. But a lot of people went off versus Dallas last year, including Brown, A.J. Brown. The other team they play is Chargers. Chargers secondary is butt cheeks other than their safety. And then they play New England if you make it to finals, which we all know New England's defense is a shell of itself. They're still pretty decent, but as far as the secondary goes, they're not even close to what they were before. So I really like his playoff schedule, and the other con is that the 2 teams that he plays here, Jets and Dolphins. But other than that, that's why I got him at 5. It's simple as that. He doesn't have much cons.
All right. So what's your 6?
My 6 is Devontae Adams.
Oh, yeah.
Said that. Where you got Devontae? Out of the top 10? We don't.
Yeah, I got him at 8.
Okay, so you got him at 8. We'll talk about Devontae Adams now. Then, it's just plain simple as this. I told Josh last year. I think I had him at like 8. I think I had him lower than this last year, but Josh was trying to say, yeah, whatever. He's got a different quarterback this year. He's been top 3 the past 3 seasons. Better than anyone has been the past 3 seasons. Even more than Jefferson. As far as average placing wise, he's been top 3 at the past 3 years. The problem is there's risk with his QB. We all know Jimmy G can't throw that deep ball accurate enough. So it's really going to come down to the short dink and dunks, or if he can literally, which he can do. We all know how amazing his route runner is. It's probably one of the best in the league. He can get wide open to the point where Jimmy G just can't screw it up. And it can be that simple. Doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time, especially versus good defenses, but he can literally do it whenever he wants, to whoever he wants, here and there. more than most people can. So I think it's going to really come down to red zone targets. The past 3 years, he's gotten 14, 11, and 18. That's literally insane. If anyone knows how much people usually get on a yearly basis, that's above and beyond probably anyone.
Nope. I mean, it's high.
For 3 years in a row, 14, 11, 18.
I mean,
no
it's
doubt.
high, but it's just like a number one receiver.
No one's even gotten close to 18 besides maybe Cup 2 years ago.
Sure. Targets, you're saying, right? Just red zone targets.
I mean, he gets a lot of red zone targets, but I'm saying touchdowns.
That's touchdowns.
Touchdowns. He gets 14, 11, and 18.
All right, that's crazy high.
That's what I'm saying. He's literally probably one of the biggest
I thought you said
touchdown
targets.
Players in the league. Like I said in here, he's amazing route runner, which makes the QB jobs easy. So that should help.
Don't you think
Garoppolo.
you're drafting him at his ceiling at 6 though?
No, considering he's been top 3 the past 3 years now.
Yeah, but that was you just said it yourself. He's in a worse situation this year.
Don't know yet.
You just said Jimmy G doesn't throw a deep ball as well.
I understand that, but like I said, he can also literally create space to the point where it's so easy for the QB. Like, I think he made Carr look good last year. Remember Carr 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Carr was butt cheeks 2 years ago.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but I don't know.
He looked horrible 2 years ago. The only way he actually made production was with who's a little white boy running across the slant.
I still don't think they went to school together. Like,
obviously, the cons I have on him is he crapped the bed last year in playoffs. If I can pull it up real fast, Devontae Adams.
all right, I'll tell you what. Don't draft him at 6. Even at number 8, that's
Real
his
fast.
ceiling.
His playoffs was 6 points, 3 points, but his last final game, if you had him in finals, was 37 points. So it just shows that like he shit the bed. But
Yeah, I wouldn't take him. But with all that said, that's his ceiling. 6 is even crazy. I think his ceiling's 8. 6 would be like a miracle.
considering
Jimmy G
He's
threw
6'3".
16 30-plus yards passes. 30-plus yard passes last year. He only threw 16. That is half of what Derek Carr threw with Devontae Adams. So it's not even just because he can't throw it or he knows he doesn't throw it as well as a deep ball. He just won't throw it because he's smart and realizes he doesn't have the capabilities to get it to the person in the right area.
Let's be honest, though. The deep ball is not what's going to affect Adams as much as can he throw an accurate ball in the red zone to get him the
so
touchdowns.
he threw Derek Carr, 18% of his pass attempts were in the red zone, and then dropped that down to 14% for Jimmy G's pass attempts were in the red zone. So he doesn't like to throw it as much in the red zone. He doesn't like to throw it nowhere near as far
But is
down
he
the
gonna
field.
have to?
I mean, if you want Devontae Adams to finish top 6, yeah, he's going to have to.
No, I mean, is he going to have to for his team? Is his coach and his playmaker
He's
going to
going-
be writing that up?
They're going to force feed Devontae Adams. Like, I mean, last year was his career high targets. No other year he got even close to those targets. It's like 20 more than any time with Rodgers.
Right.
So the fact that you think that's going to be sustainable, no, it's not going to happen. Like, he's going to go down, but he's going to be force fed still.
But I would have thought he went down last year. He didn't go down.
Why would you think that? Just
Everyone
because?
did. Everyone did.
Yeah, because
he's going from Rodgers to
They
Carr.
weren't thinking about targets going down. They were thinking his
Everyone
targets-
thought he was going to have a down year in total.
Yeah, a down year, not his targets. That's the only reason people drafted him high is because, he's going to get every target.
They didn't think his target share was going to put him in the top 3.
All I know, because no one expected Derek Carr to be as good, but Jimmy G is not the same QB. He's not that person. I'm telling you right now, if you draft him at 6, there's no way he finishes above 6.
I think Adams made you think Carr was a good quarterback, and I think that's going to affect you when it comes to Chris Olave.
I don't think he's a good quarterback. I just think
Enough
he's
to make Chris Olave your third, though.
he's an aggressive enough QB who still plays super serious because he thinks he can win and make the playoffs.
I agree that he thinks he can win, make the playoffs, but I don't think he's a good quarterback like you think Adams made him look. Before Adams, he was butt. He had one good playoff push, and then he got hurt. He was butt before Adams.
He made Amari Cooper look good. in his first couple
Like I
years.
said, his playoff push, and then he got injured.
Just saying, dude. He's can sustain a number 1 wide receiver, and he throws a better deep ball, and he just takes more risk. That's plain and simple than Jimmy G.
I'm definitely saying Jimmy G is a downgrade from Carr, but I don't think it's that significant as a downgrade.
But he's an up. But Derek Carr is a way upgrade compared to freaking Andy Dalton.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So what do you mean? Chris Olave is in a better situation.
Third. That's not what I'm talking
They're
about.
gonna make him. Is he gonna put him at third? Yeah, because Chris Olave is that good.
Okay, that's fine. That's your opinion, but I think. Carr
All I know
is
is you're drafting him at the top. Like,
what's
his best? 3?
I would say that's close to his top. Yes. What's his best?
Yeah. So
this year consistently. So I think Kupp can easily get pushed out of the top 3. Okay.
So he's 3. Then.
I think Tyreek Hill can get easily pushed out of the top 3 with whatever.
So he's 3.
He's not going to be better than Chase. Not going to be better than Jefferson.
So he's 3, like I just said 5 times.
I think his best is 5th, 4th.
And you're drafting him at 6.
Yep.
So what's his worst?
But why I'm drafting him at 6 is because he's given me the reason to show that he's good enough to make it.
I don't care about.
He hasn't gave anyone a doubt.
So what's his worst?
His worst 12.
Okay, so he finishes
anyone in this
anywhere from 4th to 12th, and you're gonna take him close to his ceiling. That just sounds like risk
for the people I have after him. Yeah, because they're more risk on my book.
All right. So you have a wide range for wide receivers.
If someone hasn't given you a doubt to not trust them, why would you not trust them? It's as simple as that.
Oh, as simple as this. There's probably only 2 guys, maybe 3. I could say finish out my top 10 that are in my.
We
top
had this
10.
debate last year by Adams, and I was right. So we'll run it again.
All right, run it again.
Right, let's run it again, Adams.
So what's the top? What's he got to place?
Wait, we made the bet last year too, and I think I won. Actually, matter of fact,
I didn't pay you as much.
Yeah, it was like 10, and I got $10, and you got 100. I think it was. Pretty sure it was that.
Yeah.
That I said I had the top 12 though.
Yeah.
So what's the bet this year?
Same one.
Same one. Top 12 or higher. I get 10. Out of top 12, you get 100.
Yeah.
All right, let's run it. Wait, and there was an exception. There's like it can't be more than 3 games, right?
Yeah, 3 games missed.
Can't be 3 games or more.
Yeah.
Okay. Run it up again this year, Adams. Let's do it, boy. Let's take that $10 again. Give me highest of the week.
All right, so that was your 6th. Who's your 7th?
My
7th was Kupp. I had 6 Tyreek, 7 Kupp.
My 7th is my boy chucking CDs out the car. You scratch my CD, Lamb.
That's your 7th?
That is my 7th.
Nice.
He's behind Adams strictly because I haven't got enough from him yet. I mean, he had 2 decent first 2 years. But his situation has gotten better year after year after year, and I think this will be his best situational year. So I think
I don't know about that. I mean, I want to think that just because I like him as a player and he's talent, but I don't know if his best situation is this year.
I mean, he went from 20th to 6th.
Yes, but he lost his offensive coordinator this year.
Yeah,
which is honestly the biggest hit more than anything to me. Just that change of play calling, change of mentality of we got to run fast, like one of the fastest plays.
I mean, let's be honest. I'm pretty sure we both had him at 7 last year, or right around there.
He was my favorite player,
and he finished 6th.
He was like one of my fantasy crushes last year.
And we both had him around like this range, 7th to 8th, somewhere like that. And he finished 6th.
Yeah. He was right where he delivered.
Right.
I just think he was in a better situation last year than he is this year. Not by much, but
so it's hard to look at his numbers because what's his name was out, Dak for a handful of games, I believe.
Yeah, that too.
So his efficiency with his targets looks a little bit skewed because he didn't have him. And I mean, who did they have as a QB? Like it was Cooper Rush or something.
Yeah, he actually played decent, but
you could just tell when Dak wasn't there, he wasn't catching as much targets as he was, and I don't watch Cowboys really at all.
Yeah.
But if you see that, it's probably because the QB threw a non-catchable catch, even though he had a target for it. So, as much as he needs he be more efficient with his targets, I think it comes down to if Dak is playing the whole season or not, which I think he will.
I feel like for me, it comes down to can he make a leap in touchdowns? Because he never had a lot of touchdowns. I think his best was 9 last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that ring? You hear that shit?
Yeah, I hear it too.
Ding dong. All right. Hopefully it's not too bad on the opposite side. But I just think his touchdowns, like you were saying, if he has Dak the whole year with that chemistry, he might get like 50% more red zone targets.
What's your mic? Try your mic.
Yeah. I just think his touchdowns could like leap up to like not a Devontae Adams, but close to that. Like he's at 9 last year, and that was without Dak's a good amount of games. So I think with the chemistry they have together, if he plays all games, I'm thinking more like 13, 14 touchdowns. I mean, they lost their second highest red zone guy. Time out. Time in.
It is what it is. Sorry about this, guys.
All right. But yeah, I'm thinking he could get 13 plus touchdowns. Just bump him up a little bit even higher. I mean, besides Dak coming back for a full year, they lost Dalton Schultz, who was the second highest in red zone targets. He had 15 red zone targets, so they lost him. And they lost Elliott, who had 59 rushing red zone attempts. And 2, not a lot of passing, but 2 red zone targets too. So with them 2 gone, I think it just opens up if they're able to give like the chemistry they have, if they're able to successfully just run good red zone plays, I think he could bump up like crazy in touchdowns. And if he repeats his targets again, which he should get close to it, maybe a little less just because of the pace of play, you're talking, again, another top 5 wide receiver on the year. I'm just worried a lot about them losing their offensive coordinator more than anything.
Yeah, I think
he's my number 9.
The downfall is
right after Adams too.
Is what you said is definitely the downfall of it. But I mean, people thought Gallup was gonna play a role in this offense last year, and he literally did nothing.
Yeah, but that was his first year off ACL.
Now I think people. Right, I still don't think he's gonna be much.
He's decent, and
then you have people that are like, oh well, Cooks is coming in. Cooks is a shell of himself. I'm sorry, it's that simple. He's just a shell of himself. So the other thing I got in pros is he's got a really easy schedule, but a tough playoff. So again, Josh doesn't really look at that stuff, but you got Bills, Dolphins, and Lions. All right, so where are we at?
You were talking about
the schedule. So I think it's easy schedule, but his offense or his playoffs for it are Bills, tough secondary, Finns, tough secondary, and then Lions. You just talked about their safety going out, so it's a tough loss, but still a pretty okay defense, I would say.
Trash.
But we're moving on to the 8th. Did you already said your 8th?
Well, my 8th was Devontae Adams, and my 9th was CD. Okay. So we have in the same order.
We have flipped. Oh, yeah, no,
Adams.
Right.
Before CD too.
Okay. My 8th, I have AJ Brown. I mean, the dude literally took a huge leap. He went from 30th being on Tennessee Titans to 5th with the Eagles when joining the Eagles. I think Hurts has improved greatly with his accuracy and decision making. They're on a high power offense. Should be first in the NFC, no doubt, in my eyes, to be honest, unless you want to talk about 49ers. But we got to see what Purdy can do.
Wait, who are we talking about
now? Eagles and Brown.
Oh, you're still on schedule.
Yeah. They have an amazing playoff schedule. Seahawks, Giants, and Cardinals. Again, I take that in consideration because I always think I'm going to make the playoffs. And I want my players to perform good in the playoffs. I don't want to go in there and be like, shit, they have a hard defense to go against. They're not going to be the top performers. Anyway, has a lot of comp in his teams. That's obviously a con as far as competition goes. You have Dallas Goedert. You have, who's the running back now? Swift. You have Smith. You have who?
I was saying there are other running backs for Rashad
Penny, and then there's another third wide receiver there.
J. Brown, Quez Watkins.
Yeah, just Smith then. But you also have Hurts that runs a lot too, and they're just a running team more than a passing team. But I still got him my 8th because of all the pros. I think they have a very favorable schedule all year. And he can have multiple touchdown games. So I think that's a very big pro. I think he had 3 touchdown games and the 2 touchdown games. So he can definitely have those multiple touchdown games, which is huge when it comes to fantasy, especially if it happens in the playoffs, which I said he has an easy playoff. So hopefully it happens. But he can have a lot of down weeks, and that's the downgrade to him.
I just don't, like you said, they're more of a rushing team. So I feel like in full PPR, he's just not going to get both the yards and the receptions, targets because of that he needs to finish top 10 in a full PPR. I mean, like, it's really just going to be relying on him, Yak, and him, like, creating plays to get big touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Because without that, if he doesn't do it, Hurts isn't going to do it. I mean, like, people are high on Hurts, and he's had a good year, but, like, you have one of the best offensive lines, and you still only threw for, 3,000 some yards? Barely even?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I think that's as much as it's his pro as far as how good his team is. I think it's also his downside because his team's so good that they're going to run the ball. They're really going to be, if not the top 3 of the NFC. So they might just have blowout games where they're just running it even more than they usually do. So it's a pro and a con. Obviously, you're going to get both with him. So
I still love him way, way more than Devontae Smith. Like, Devontae Smith had an amazing year, but, like, people are so high on Devontae.
Yeah, I'm out on
like,
him.
No.
He's just too small, dude. I'm sorry.
Too small, and the way they, like, scheme him up.
If he doesn't have a deep ball catch, he's done.
That's what I mean. He's barely even used in the deep ball. Like, they screen pass him so much. I'm like, what are we doing?
But that's the thing. He usually gets, like, 1 deep ball every other game, I would say.
Stupid, honestly.
But if you don't have that, he's done. But anyway, the main reason I have him is strictly just because of easy schedule just in general, and his best pro, with his team being so good and him having multiple touchdown games, is also his con. But that's why I have him over Garrett Wilson, which is my 9th. You said you have, who was your 9th?
My 9th is
CD.
Yeah, so I don't have AJ in my top at all. Top 10.
Wow. You had Garrett Wilson where? I have him at 9. You have him at 4?
Yes.
So I definitely wanted to move Garrett Wilson up on this, but I just, after looking at A.J. Brown's high impact gains and back end schedule and just schedule in general, I'm just like, this dude's got to play Jets twice a year. And I obviously talked about the pros to that con, but then you also have Dolphins twice a year. It's just a tough schedule in general, too, for offense to defense wise. But, I mean, we already talked about him, so we don't really need to go much in detail. We all know his QB got upgraded. His rookie of the year last year. He should take a huge jump. He only had 4 TDs. Hopefully he has 6+ this year. I think he will. But he'll be in a tough division, like I said. And even though he's in a tough division, I think those tough division games between the Dolphins and the Bills will be shootout games. So hopefully he has more opportunity throwing-wise. And we're moving on to our last but not least 10th, which you have not released yet, right?
Yeah, so
who's 10th
for me is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions.
And 10th for me is going to be Amon St. Brown of the Detroit Lions.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like he's definitely a tier break, though. Like, I feel like anything 9 and up, I like enough to take.
You know what I like the most about him?
In the second round, but I do not like.
Look at this.
I don't like taking him in the second round, or as my number 1 wide receiver. He's safe, but he's almost too safe.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at these receptions. So I organized it by receptions. He had 106. That puts him at I have the 5th.
My first
overall last year.
PPR king.
King.
He's the
and literally if Jamal Williams did not get like a world-setting record touchdowns.
Oh, running backs, yeah, I know.
He literally would have got more touchdowns, and he would have been way better than he was last year.
Yeah, I mean, the really only downside is his QB and Jared Goff. Like, Jared Goff has never been a downfield thrower. Like, there's a reason why Cooper Kupp never exploded while he had Jared Goff. Not just because of injuries, but because of Goff himself. I mean, the man, he's one of the worst for like top 20 wide receivers. Probably has the worst depth of target. So like yards before target per catch is at like 6 yards. So he's catching yards 6 yards on average down the field, which is trash. And 40% of all his yards are all yards after catch. So my man always has to run the ball nonstop to get anywhere in his
which he does very well.
Yeah, he does pretty well. I just feel like he's constantly working against his QB when it comes to like fantasy production. Like he's gonna get crap ton of targets, like you said, and he's gonna get a crap ton of receptions because he's an awesome receiver. And the good thing is he's not gonna be hurt by Jameson Williams at least early in the season because of the 6-week suspension for Jameson Williams, the star, if you don't know, rookie wide receiver that they drafted like first round, I think it was, who did actually look really good in his last game he had, whatever it was, like might even have one catch the whole year, but it was like a phenomenal touchdown. With all that to say, he's not going to be there the first 6 weeks, so even when he comes back, it's going to be slow getting in to like
who's not
9 weeks in. Jameson Williams.
Is that the rookie?
Yeah, he was a rookie last year, but he didn't play. He like tore his ACL, so he was drafted lower than he really would have been. But with all that to say, he's going to get all his targets. It's going to be one of the safest floor when it comes to receptions. You just hope, like Caleb said, his touchdown upside should go up. If that goes up, and I like him because he's young, so he's still playing for that big contract. So he wants to show up, and if he shows up this year, he's most likely going to get a really fat contract. So I see him going up from last year, but what did he end last year? Like,
let's see.
Actually, it's pretty high. It's mainly because I think it's because other people got hurt.
7th. So
Yeah.
let's say this. He finished 7th last year. He only got 6 receiving touchdowns. We all know Jamal Williams took literally almost every single goal line work touchdown, right? So he also missed 3 games because he was hurt last year. So if we add all games,
I feel like he's not 7th.
he's 7th. I have him on my phone.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, he was. Holy shit.
Yeah. So he finished 7th with 6 touchdowns. You give him 2 more touchdowns, that puts him up another 12 points, and that
so he's gonna finish around 300s.
I think we're drafting him at his floor, close to his floor.
I would agree. I guess I just don't get excited because of
Right, because of the touchdowns and because they just drafted Gibbs, which I believe was strictly because his catching ability.
Yeah,
so he might take one from the goal line. Then they also picked up Montgomery, which they might replace him with like a Jamal Williams type deal.
Is.
So that's the only downfall to this right now. If they didn't pick up Montgomery and they just did Gibbs, then his reception TDs might be going up. But now it's like questionable if they're going to or not. But literally, even if you don't do that, you just add his 3 more games. He plays all games. He's literally going to the top 6.
It's more so like how worried you get because you like are big on schedule. So like if Jameson Williams comes back and by week 9 he's getting 15 to 20 some percent of the target share.
That's what I was trying to do. Was trying to find the schedule, but I couldn't find it.
I feel like you kind of have to worry on the like I would still draft him, especially because his ADP is pretty good. I don't even think it's top 10. It might be.
Why doesn't he come up here?
But regardless, he's a great pick. You just probably want to cash in on him halfway through the season, like at week 7 or week 8, before Jameson Williams takes the spotlight and they're kind of more even share. And he drops more to like maybe I'll get 8-10 points at most.
Where is he on projections?
I'm on
2023 season projections.
Yeah.
Is this checking free agents?
It's all there.
Where is Ramon? Because I can't find him at all.
You could probably just search on that.
I was just trying to see his schedule, but I'll just pull up my phone. It's not that big of a deal. So, literally, he has an easy schedule and an easy back-off schedule or playoff schedule. What would you grade this secondary schedule for playoffs as? Denver, first round. Awful secondary.
No, amazing secondary. Like
amazing
awful
secondary.
Matchup.
Awful round. Okay.
One of the best.
Minnesota Vikings.
Trash. So it's a good matchup.
Great matchup. Dallas.
Mediocre.
I would say below mediocre.
No, I would say mediocre or above average.
They let a lot of people up, but I don't have the stats.
Versus
man,
him
but if you
and
do.
Jared Goff, I would say they're above average with their pass rush.
But so you have Denver as being a tough matchup, which I can
really
agree
tough.
with. They have that.
It's
one
not
secondary.
bad.
Who's the
It's
one
more
cornerback there? The rookie dude, right?
Who you talking about?
Denver?
Certain. Yeah, I think he got defensive rookie of the year. He might have.
That defense rookie of the year was the Wilson dude or the Jets dude, Sauce. But
yeah.
but yeah, so he's got a great second round playoff, and then the finals if you make it the finals, and then on top of that you got KC, Seattle, Atlanta, Green Bay. Green Bay's a little tough. Cardinals, Tampa Bay, a little tough. Ravens, a little tough. Raiders, easy. Chargers, easy. Chicago, mediocre. Green Bay, pretty tough. New Orleans, pretty tough. Chicago, mediocre. And then, like I said, the playoffs. So I would say most of them are pretty easy secondaries for him to go up against, especially since he just plays the slot. So it's not like he can't get open even if he is playing a tough opponent. So
Yeah.
you give him one more touchdown and then you give him 3 more games just in general.
I feel
think
like
he goes
honestly I might swap right before I get closer to draft season. Devontae Adams and Amon-Ra.
up. I could see you doing
Throw
that.
Devontae to 10th and put Amon-Ra. I don't think I could put him above CD though. So maybe just 9th. Either way, I don't know. At first in my mind, just seeing the player and watching him on film.
I think it's going to come down to what Gibbs and Montgomery put out in preseason, like how they run it.
I don't give a shit about preseason. People are way too hyped about it.
Practice, preseason, minicamp, all of it together. Just the news that comes out about them.
Yeah, I know, but it rarely persuades me.
Let's say this:
it just F's me up.
If I watch week 1 of Detroit Lions and they don't use Montgomery like they used Williams, and they're just super heavy, right at the goal line, just run, then I'm probably going to try to trade for him early, right off the bat.
Trade for who?
I'm wrong.
Oh, I don't know.
Because depending on how they run their plays, their play calls, I might like him enough to trade him for my number 1 overall, depending on who I have. You know who it reminds me of last year? Just different position. Swift. Deontay Swift.
17th. Whew, that's pretty high.
That's what I'm saying. He reminds me of a Swift last year. Remember when Swift was at the beginning was not getting hyped up enough, and then towards the end he got really hyped up.
Yeah.
That's how he reminds me. I think he's going to go up on. I think he's not going to be 17th by the time drafts come around.
That's wild.
That is wild.
That means you got to take him at only 10 team, the end of round 2.
I'm trying to think of why they have him at 17th if he finished 7th last year, and his situation's only gotten better in my eyes. Hawkinson's going for the full year now. They basically played the same exact similar roles.
I mean,
QB plays the same. They have an amazing offensive line.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm not too worried.
All right, well, that's our top 10s. Next, we will probably be bringing out top 10 running backs. If not, then the 11th through 20th wide receivers, but we will discuss it at a later time. If you got anything from this, give it a thumbs up. Sharing is caring. If you're not, then just get out of here. And like I said, if you guys want to join a fantasy, hit us up. It's $100 opt-in. It will be
$1,800 top prize. Get that because it's mine.
It will be 3. What would you call it? Leagues of 10?
It's 3 10-team leagues.
3
top
10-team
2
leagues.
from each go to playoffs, so 6-team playoffs. Top 6 all win a prize, and then we get weekly payout prizes too.
And the fun thing too is if you guys only had played with one team leagues of 10 or 12, the fun part about this is when you go to the playoffs, you'll probably have the same people that the other team or your other opponent will have as far as players go.
So what will you do?
So you might have a Kelsey and a Kelsey or a CMC and a CMC or something like that going into the thing. So it will be very interesting to watch who drafts better when it comes to depth.
You know what's going to really suck? If it comes down to it's honestly going to kill it a little bit. The negative side is, say you're down 3 points and both you guys have the same player for a Monday night game. and you're gonna know that Sunday.
Yeah, it's gonna kill it, but it is what
I'm
it
just
is.
saying it's gonna suck. Like you already know it doesn't matter what your player does if he happens to play Monday night because you're both at the same.
I feel like that.
I mean,
won't
I doubt
happen.
it's gonna happen, but
I feel
you
like it won't
never
happen.
know.
It could happen, but I feel like it won't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. But I think it's gonna come down to more about depth. Who knows how to draft better
that's
depth?
me, boy.
Okay, we'll see. Anyway, like, comment, and share. Like I said, sharing is caring. Have a great day, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.
Good night. Sleep tight.